Hi, I'm DG Wright, and this is the official channel of the BLS Coin Collectors Club, bringing you news and insight from the fascinating world of numismatics. If you enjoy my content, don't forget to like and subscribe. Hi all, I'm sorry it's been so long since I've been around, life stuff and all that, it's not been fun, but this will be fun. Instead of delving into the 1992 Coin Club, I'm going to go over a few of my more recent acquisitions and show off my newest coins as well as a few personal favourites. So without further ado, let's dive in. George VI was the last British monarch to issue the silver threepence. The rising price of silver, especially once the Second World War started in 1939, meant that from 1937 onwards two types of threepences were minted, the traditional silver coin and the newer nickel brass type. The last silver threepences were minted in 1944. These two are from 1937 and 1941, the first George VI silver threepences I've ever obtained. Both of them arrived here during the last week. The reverse design features a cruciform shield mounted on an English rose. This isn't a new item in my collection, but I thought it would be neat for a comparison. This is the nickel brass threepence, first issued in 1937, which completely supplanted its silver counterpart after 1944. The earliest designs for these were put forward during the brief reign of Edward VIII, but it wasn't until after he abdicated and George VI took the throne that the first of these coins were minted for circulation. The reverse design features a thrift plant, which gave its name to the word thrifty, meaning frugal or financially wise. Florins, or 2-shilling coins, were first minted in silver during the reign of Queen Victoria. These three examples, however, are all cupronickel issues, minted during the early reign of Elizabeth II, 1954, 1958 and 1964. The obverse shows the young portrait of the Queen, while the reverse depicts the English rose surrounded by the thistles of Scotland, the leeks of Wales and the shamrocks of Ireland. These coins were issued up until 1967. Their replacement, the decimal 10p, was first issued in 1968. Both florin and 10p circulated until 1992, when they were replaced with the new, smaller issue 10p. Florins and 10p were popular collector's items during the 1992 Coin Club. This is a silver shilling from the reign of George V. Technically it's a silver alloy, as in 1920 all the realm's silver coinage was reduced to 50% fineness owing to the rising cost of silver, but silver continued to be used in circulating coins until 1946. The obverse features the king, and on the reverse we see a lion standing atop a crown. This particular reverse design was used from 1902 up until 1927, when it was replaced with a more stylized heraldic lion. Another silver threepence. This one dates to 1933, during the last years of George V's reign. This was 4 years before the nickel brass threepences were first issued, and so this 50% finest silver alloy coin was the only circulating threepence at the time. The obverse depicts the king, while on the reverse we see 3 oak branches with leaves and acorns. These 4 bronze farthings come from early in the reign of George V. They feature Britannia on the reverse, the same design as used for the pennies and halfpennies of the time, while the obverse shows the first bust of the king. The second was the modified effigy introduced in 1926. The design of the farthing would change in 1937 to show a wren on the reverse, and the coin would retain this design up until its final mintage in 1956 and subsequent demonetization in 1960. This tiny copper coin is a half farthing. Minted sporadically during the early to mid-19th century, the half farthing was one of the lowest value British coins and was the only fractional farthing intended for circulation in the UK proper. The even lower value third and quarter farthings were intended only for use in the colonies of Malta and Ceylon respectively. The obverse features the young portrait of Queen Victoria, while on the reverse we see the date and the words half farthing enclosed in a laurel wreath. This is a bronze halfpenny of Queen Victoria dated 1891. Britannia features on the reverse, as she does on almost all copper and bronze coins of the realm from 1672 until 1967, while on the obverse we see the bun head of the Queen, which was reserved exclusively for the bronze coinage of 1860 to 1894. While the pennies of this issue usually turn up in terrible condition, the halfpennies and farthings tend to fare a little better. I'm also going to include in this video a few coins which, although not recent acquisitions by any means, are among my personal favourites. They're not necessarily in the best condition, but they're ones that hold some personal significance or sentimental value. This 1738 halfpenny is actually in pretty good nick for one of these issues. The obverse shows the young bust of George II with only the Latin title Rex for king. The copper coins of the era omitted most of the monarch's titles, while the reverse shows Britannia holding a spear with the date below. This particular piece has been in my collection since very early on, 1991 or probably even earlier, and it's mentioned a couple of times in early Coin Club records. It's also in better condition than any other halfpenny I have up until 1854. This particular florin has already shown up a few times in my videos, but here it is again for good measure. I got this coin in a swap with a friend of mine in December 1991 and managed to keep hold of it ever since. We had got into the habit of collecting florins because they were soon to be demonetized, although silver ones of this age had almost completely left circulation anyhow by then. This one isn't in the best condition, but it was one of the better examples in my friend's collection, and I've held on to it mainly for that history during the past 33 years. I also happen to have a nearly complete collection of 1921 silver. I have the sixpence, shilling, florin and half crown, missing only the threepence. Another coin I've featured a few times, but it's one I'm particularly proud to have in my collection. In late 1991, I got to see my class teacher's coin collection, and he had one of these Edward I pennies of the late 13th century recoinage. Ever since then, I've wanted to add one to my own collection, and earlier this year I finally got the chance. I bid on 4 of them on eBay, hoping that I'd win one of the auctions. As it turned out, I won all 4, and now have 4 of these lovely little pennies in my coin album. As I said, these coins aren't always in the best condition. This 1827 penny has had its edges squashed in, but it is one of the earliest coins mentioned in Coin Club records that I still have in my collection. Very early tradition suggests I may have originally owned the coin in the 1980s and then lost it. If so, it was later then found by a neighbour and friend of mine who joined the Coin Club. The coin later found its way back into my collection. When and how is unclear, although it was possibly sometime in 1993. Yet another silver threepence. This one is in here because of its condition. It's unusual to find a silver threepence of this vintage in this good nick, but this one not only shows very little wear on it, but still has some of its original mint luster. It's a beautiful piece, and matches a 1914 florin I have in similar condition, a coin which I've shown off in previous videos. No video of this kind could be complete without me showing off this little beauty. I got this fairly recently, but it's the only proof coin I've ever had. It's gotten some discoloration over the years, but this is a genuine proof, issued in 1970 as part of proof sets that celebrated the last year of pre-decimal coinage. Halfpennies, pennies and threepences were all demonetized on decimal day in February 1971 and passed out of circulation. One of only 2 silver half-crowns in my collection, the other being a 1921 piece that I've shown before. I got this 1945 coin in 1992 during the height of the refounded Coin Club. This is one of the last circulating silver coins made in the UK. In 1947, silver was replaced by a cupro-nickel alloy for circulating coins, which is still used to this day. Half-crowns, their face value was 2 shillings and sixpence, continued to be minted until 1967 and were demonetized in 1969 as part of decimalization. This, of course, is another relatively recent acquisition, and I showcased it in the channel's second video several months ago. The Cartwheel 2p is a coin I've wanted to get hold of for almost my entire coin collecting life, which is nearly my entire life in fact, since I've been collecting since I was 6 or 7 years old. I've had several Cartwheel pennies during that time, but this is my first 2p of the issue. Minted in 1797 and 1798, although all dated 1797, the Cartwheel 2p weighs a full 2 ounces of pure copper. Due to its size and weight, it was never popular as pocket change and was never reissued, but it has been perennially popular with collectors. I showed this one off recently too, but it's worth seeing again. It might not be in good condition, but this was literally the result of a lucky random find. I found it lying on the ground during an outdoor excursion with my school class in January 1992. My school placed a priority on outdoor education, which often involved walking trips of a couple of hours, involving the use of maps and compasses, and on a woodland path I found this sixpence lying on the ground. How long it had been there was no way of telling, although given its condition it might have been there for years or even decades. Sixpences were demonetised in 1980, and it might have been dropped there before then, or by another coin collector at any time since. A coin I acquired very early on in my collecting life. This was one of my only silver coins to survive the depredations of the 1991 Coin Club, if not the only one. This sole survivor, one of only 49 British coins to remain in my collection when the first coin club closed in mid-November 1991, appears to have been pierced through, or at least attempted to be pierced through, long before I obtained it, maybe by someone intending to wear it as a brooch or something similar. The last fourpence or groat for circulation was issued in 1855, and I have one of that date too. Unlike the others in this video, this coin is in here not because of the coin itself, but because of what it represents. The BLS Coin Collectors Club was founded in 1991, so I commemorate that founding by having a 1991 penny in my collection. These coins are also the last ones to be made of bronze in the UK. Pennies and twopences from 1992 onwards were made of a copper-plated steel alloy, a change due to the rising price of copper and zinc. After picking up some 1991 pennies, I started a tradition of adding a penny of each successive year to my collection, up until 1998. Next time we'll hopefully get back on track, and I'll talk about the revived Coin Club of 1992. Until then, if you enjoyed this video, leave a like and a comment, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button.